Today we are going to talk about a very important topic, that is mental health. Now we all are aware about the recent case of the 20-year-old actor Tanisha Sharma who committed suicide last year in December. Now this news has been making a buzz that she took her life because of her alleged boyfriend. Now in fact there are claims that she was going through some past childhood trauma. But in both the cases, can trauma lead to suicide? The more we learn about the long-term effects of early childhood trauma, the more important it becomes to talk about the ways we can resolve and heal from it. Now, this may be especially true for the people struggling with depression, as there's some indication that individuals who have experienced early trauma are less likely to respond to antidepressants. Now, therapy can be a powerful way to help resolve early trauma and overcome depression. Now, the basic mantra to help a person who's dealing with the trauma is SCOLE. Now, what is SCOLE? Cole is curious, open, accepting, and loving. Showing curiosity to the person and know what is going on in his life, and being open about what he thinks and accepting what he's saying. Now, don't interrupt him, whatever he's saying, and show love to that person. Now, to talk more about on this topic, we have our health expert. Hello, Shamantha. Welcome to the Health Site.
Sakshi, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. All right. Shamantha, talking about trauma, childhood trauma and depression. So I'll give you a little insight about what exactly we are talking about here. So you might be knowing about the Tanisha Sharma case, and a press conference happened yesterday. And in that press conference, it has been claimed that she was facing a lot of childhood trauma, and her relationship with her parents were not that good, especially with her mother was not that good. So because of that trauma, that led to depression later on. So do you think it can lead to suicide, or childhood trauma can lead to suicide?
Yeah, possibility if it's untreated, especially if the trauma is so much so that the young person is unable to cope with, right? So trauma could be anything from sexual abuse or physical abuse, verbal abuse, abuse of any sort, neglect, bullying, death of a loved one, and some of these other things that happen that a person cannot deal with, then it can lead to trauma. So in trauma, again, the person who experiences trauma, their nervous system sort of uses unconventional ways to cope with the trauma that is being experienced by the person, and after a point this becomes very unhealthy in later years, right? Something that was protecting them earlier is not very healthy later years. So that becomes difficult, and especially if they do not heal from it, it can lead to severe depression and anxiety and other disorders.
Alright. Shamantha, you mentioned if a person do not heal from it. Talking about healing in this case, in case of trauma. So suppose that a child, suppose that a 7 or a 8-year-old child, he's receiving a lot of cold vibes from his parents, or even parents are very physical also towards their children. They beat them up. There are many such parents who do that. So
Right.
how do a child, or how do, in fact, in the later years, suppose that a child has entered a phase where he's 15-year-old. So how do that child heal from that trauma? What is the process of healing?
I don't think it's they can do it by themselves. Reaching out to a professional is one way to go. Another way is also being mindful that this is traumatic, right? Like a lot of people don't know that being beaten up during childhood, or being neglected during childhood, or as you mentioned, being given conditional love and not unconditional love, right? Like if you get good grades, then you will get my attention and love. And giving an example, so in those cases, when the child grows up is when they actually start realizing that there has been a lot of trauma that they experienced. But when they're at the age of 5, 6, I'm sure that they can't really make out that it's trauma. They just accept what is being subjected to them as this is the normal, this is how things are. This is supposed to be accepted. I can't speak up about it. And a lot of children might be protesting against things like this, but they are being shut. Um, and a lot of people who inflict abuse are the caregivers, close friends and family. So it's not usually spoken about. Very less reporting is done when the perpetrator is from a very close circle, right? For the fear of being shamed or isolated and all these things. So I think that is the need of the hour.
All right, Shamantha, thank you so much for joining in, and thank you so much for taking out time for us. Thank you.